in 1859 when the Grand Trunk Railway was building its line from Stratford to Sarnia. A pumping station and stopping point on the line was needed. The meandering Hickory Creek and the thick tree cover helped provide the water and wood needed for the steam locomotives of the day. By 1862, a post office opened. Soon there was a canning factory and a basket factory. In 1888, the local politicians wanted town status, but the official population was just a few citizens short of the required 2,000. Not being daunted by this shortage of population, they arranged for a Grand Trunk Railway passenger train to wait at the station for 1 hour, enough time to register each passenger and member of the crew to become residents long enough to create the town of Forest. Back about 1930, because of a man named Dave McIntyre, Forest was also the home of what might be called flexible time, at least according to a Reader's Digest article of that time that referred to him as the bell-ringing alarm clock of the town of Forest. Seems there was a writer came to Forest one day and talked to Dave, asking him about his job in town. Told him he wanted to write a story about him for the magazine. When Dave was asked, he responded, "Well, sir, my job with the town has 3 main parts. First is to sweep the streets several times each day, necessary because a lot of folks still use horses to get around back. And there's always litter. The second part of my job is to keep the town hall clean. The third part, and some folks think it is the most important part, is my duty each day as a bell ringer. 6 days each week, not on the Sabbath, of course, I have to ring the bell in the tower downtown atop the town hall. I ring it first each morning at exactly 7 a.m. to wake the town up. Then I ring it again exactly 1 hour later at 8 a.m. to signal the start of the workday in the basket and canning factories. Then exactly at noon, and again a half hour later, I ring the bell to signal the beginning and end of lunch break. Finally at 5:30 p.m., 6 days a week, I ring the bell for the last time each day to signal the end of work for all the factory employees, to tell them they can go home. But why in tarnation would anyone want to read about that? About me? I am now and have been for several years, just like my grandfather was before me, no more than a janitor. May not be much, but I'm proud to say I do good work, and I don't think anyone in town complains about me." Then the writer asked, "How can you be sure the time is right each time you ring the bell?" "Well, each morning I go by Van Valkenburg's jewelry store, downtown, about 6:45 a.m. There I check the time on my pocket watch against that of the clock in the display window of the store. If they're different, I adjust the time on my watch and head for the town hall and ring the bell for the first time that day at exactly 7 a.m. After following Dave McIntyre around for most of the day, the writer walked over to Van Valkenburg's jewelry store and asked the owner how he could be sure that the time on the clock in the window was correct. The response was, "Why, we always check the time when Dave rings a bell each day at noon. If our clock is not accurate, we change it right then." As he turned and walked out of the store, the writer quietly asked himself, "I knew there's a standard time and that there's daylight savings time, but what would happen if Dave McIntyre's watch, or the clock in the jewelry store window, was losing a minute or two each day? Would they eventually have to go on to forest time?"